Theme Park Tycoon 2 just updated. Let's talk about everything that we got in this update. So to change the weather system, we can go to the button in the same place where we change the time of day inside of this game, which is this sun icon in the corner here. So currently we can change the time by changing the numbers up here with this slider. It's similar to over here with the weather, where we can change the weather by choosing the type of weather that we want. Currently, I have it set to clear. So there are different types of weathers that we have here. However, I'm assuming each one of these change the different types of cloud or adds more clouds as you go on. I haven't really checked it out other than a brief look. So if we go into partly cloudy, you can see that the clouds start to form in the game, which is actually quite cool. I actually enjoyed this quality of life to this game, which was highly needed for this game. Skipping all these, I'm assuming most of these just add more clouds to the game. I mean, overcast probably just makes it really dark. Yeah, there you go. That's what overcast looks like, which, not gonna lie, is probably one of the most hated days that I have in real life. We also have like moderate rain and heavy rain, as well as thunderstorms. However, you can go check that out in the game because I was having trouble recording it and finding the thunderbolts, which is the unique feature that was added into this game in this update. And it kind of mimics real life thunderbolts, where it's kind of hard to see the thunderbolts sometimes. And it's similar to this game where I was having trouble recording that thunderbolt, which is shown by the flash of light that appears on the game. However, that is what this weather system looks inside of Theme Park Tycoon 2. Let's move on to the next thing that we got in this update. So the next thing that we'll talk about in this update is the tilt track, which is a great addition to this game and something that a lot of people wanted for roller coasters for Theme Park Tycoon 2. Now, as you can see, as the coaster's going up, you'll see that once the coaster hits this piece of the track, which the one thing that I wish the tilt track has was supports, because as of right now, it's just in the middle of the air, and it's kind of too bad, but it's not a huge deal. I guess you will have to add supports yourself, and I think that's actually quite easier than removing it. However, I do wish there were supports, but as you can see, as it's tilting forward, the train will release with a booster and will go down the rest of the layout, which I think it is quite a nice addition inside of Theme Park Tycoon 2. Now, I'm not sure what coasters this is on. However, this is the vertical launch coaster, and I'm sure it's on a lot more. So moving on over here to the next thing that we got is a new ride. And let's go and talk about that next. So the new ride that we got inside of Theme Park Tycoon 2 is called the Gyro. Now, it's quite cool in the way that it moves around in this spinning orientation, and I think that's quite unique for this ride inside of this game. Now, is this ride something that I'll be using a lot inside of Theme Park Tycoon 2? Probably not. It looks more like a carnival ride. However, the functions of the ride moving around kind of make it quite cool, and that may be one reason why I'll use it inside of Theme Park Tycoon 2 inside of my parks, especially in a park like Tomorrowland, because this theming, especially what's up here, kind of looks like something that could be at Tomorrowland, or like from an old TV show called The Jetsons, which for some reason that is the first thing that came to mind when thinking about this ride or looking at the theming for this ride. Now, moving on to the next thing that we'll be talking about for this update, which is the rework for the forgot the name of this ride, the gravitational ride for the theme park game. So moving on to the gravitational ride, which was reworked in this game. So what's cool about this new gravitational ride is that the fact that there's lights around the whole gravitational ride that operates when the ride is moving. You can also actually change a lot of the appearances for this ride. And actually, one thing that I forgot about this ride, the new ride, the Gyro ride, is you can also change a lot of colors for this ride as well. Now, moving back to the gravitational ride, you can see that when the ride stops, the lights turn off and the doors open. Now, when inside the ride, you can see that when riding it, the seats move up and down as the ride moves. Now, would I use this ride a lot inside of Theme Park Tycoon 2? Probably not, because this is more of a carnival ride, and I don't really use the gravitational ride anyway inside this game, especially the old one, and I'll more likely use the Gyro ride more than this gravitational ride. But, however, it is a cool addition inside of Theme Park Tycoon 2. So, if you still want to access the old gravitational ride, which is now hidden by default, you can still access it by turning on a button or switch in the settings, which turns on the legacy list. So, that is what we have for this new update of Theme Park Tycoon 2 so far. Let's move on to the next thing that we got, which is new trees or new scenery items. I wouldn't say trees, new scenery items, which is cactus. So in this update, we also got new scenery items, which is 17 new cactus, which looks so much better than the original cactus that we had in this game. So for the cactus items, the one thing that this is useful for is theming, especially if you're theming a Wild West area. And I think this will be a great addition for theme parks inside of Theme Park Tycoon 2. Now there is one more thing in this update that I want to talk about, which is the umbrella feature that was added with the weather system. Now, before we go into the next thing that we got in this update, I'm actually curious about one thing first, and this being the vision button in the settings, which was added recently. Yeah, as you can see, everything that was in development before has now says, which is cool, recently released. And there's actually new things that are in development now, like the configurable brakes. And I think that's quite amazing that Dennis is telling us what will be planned for the future. Like everything that was recently released has now been changed in the settings area, as well as in development, like new reworked rides and new nature items is now in development now. And I think that's quite amazing that we now have a understanding of what could be coming in this game in the future. Now, for the final thing that we got in this update, we got these umbrella stalls. And I think this is quite a cool feature added to the game. And you can see that this umbrella stall looks kind of more like some sort of tropical island vibe stall. And I just think the detail is actually quite amazing. However, the one thing that's amazing, if we go to one of my original parks that I built, and one of my oldest parks that I built inside of the game, and the first time I've actually used Advanced Editor inside of Theme Park Tycoon 2, if we go to the NPCs here, and turn it to, let's say, thunderstorm or rain, let's say heavy rain. Let's turn it to heavy rain. You can now see that once it starts raining, that the people who have umbrellas in the game, if I can find an NPC with an umbrella around here somewhere, you would think it would be a lot easier to find umbrellas in the game if you find it. Oh, here we go. Somebody's buying one. You can now see that, yeah, the NPCs will now hold the umbrella when it's raining, and when it's not raining, so when it's clear, they will put that umbrella away, as you can see there, and they'll put it back up once it rains again. And I think that is one cool feature that adds a little more life to NPCs, which is quite amazing that Dennis is still changing NPCs to this day, and it's quite a nice feature added to the game. Now, that is all we have for the update, I believe. There's a couple more notes in the update log. You can go and read that on your own terms. However, like you can see that in private server, we can now change the time of day, as well as the weather in all our parks, and a couple UI changes and some minor issues that was changed. However, other than that, that's everything that we have for this update. So let me know down below on what you think about this update. And if you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like and subscribe to the channel. I'll really appreciate it. And I'll see you in the next Theme Park Tycoon 2 video. See ya!